Hi everybody, it's Andy Barrar, aka Handy Andy from handyandymedia.com. And today I'm doing a review for Best Buy's blog on these two bad boys. This is from a brand I've never heard before called Mission. We're looking at their soundbar and wireless subwoofer. Now, this is perfect for anybody who is setting up a home theater system because the auditory experience is really part of that whole experience of watching a movie or playing video games. So let's go ahead and begin this review by taking a quick look at the design of the Mission soundbar and wireless subwoofer. Now, as you can see, it comes in two pieces, the soundbar itself and the subwoofer. Now, the soundbar measures about 34 inches long. It's, I'd say, about 3 inches high and 4 inches in depth. The connections and all the controls that you would connect to your television are located on the back. Those are where you're going to find all the ports. There, you're going to find a coaxial connection. You'll find an auxiliary connection, an optical, HDMI ARC, which stands for audio return channel, and 2 HDMI ports. So a variety of different ways to connect it with wires, but you could also connect it via Bluetooth, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in a bit. Now, the actual subwoofer, well, you can see it is quite big. It measures, I'd say, about 14 inches high or tall and about 9 inches wide and 9 inches in depth. The actual sub itself, let me see if I can show it to you, is located right on the bottom. And what's really cool about that is it will basically send the signal to the floor. So the actual floor will vibrate to give you that. You can almost feel the bass. Like I used to play in a rock band, and when I play the guitar, bass guitar, I could feel it on the floor. Well, this pretty much does the same thing. Now that we've kind of looked at the design, let's go ahead and talk a little bit about the setup. So I set this up in my high-tech themed Airbnb suite because I have a dedicated projector, a projector wall, and just recently a soundbar shelf because my last soundbar melted. I kid you not, it melted because I put it just above a baseboard heater, and over time that heat just melted the soundbar. So what I did was build a dedicated shelf. I took my replacement soundbar away and put these two bad boys in. So the setup was super easy. I just had to place this on the shelf, plug it in, place this. It automatically paired once the subwoofer and the soundbar were both plugged in. It has to be within 6 meters for that connection to happen automatically. After that, I turned it on, and lo and behold, I was having flashbacks from the 1980s watching Knight Rider, because the car kit, it has that same screen on the front, kind of like a 8-bit kind of a screen that shows you all the different inputs, whether it's the HDMI or optical. I switched on to Bluetooth because I have a really cool hack for my projector, which then goes through the roof to a HDMI splitter, which then is connected to a Bluetooth receiver, which then sends that Bluetooth signal to the soundbar. So the setup actually took about 10 minutes to get this up and running, and I was trying to get some sound literally within 5-10 minutes. Now that we've talked about the setup, let's talk a little bit about the actual performance of the sound and the customization abilities from the controller that it comes with. So to test this soundbar and subwoofer, wireless subwoofer, I was going to do what anybody would do. I was just going to play movies on Netflix. And to really get a feel for the audio quality and the experience, the auditory experience of this duo. And I have to say, it was very, very impressive. Now, what's really cool is this is a 240 watt 2.1 channel. So it can do surround sound on the controller, which is super user friendly. I should give a shout out to this controller. It's just like very, very basic, what you would expect in a controller. They have a surround button and you can turn surround sound on or off. What I did is I just basically closed my eyes and I toggled between it so I didn't know which one it was. And to be honest with you, I did enjoy having surround sound on during movies. because if there was like a gun battle, you could kind of hear bullets and stuff. Because like movies were designed with surround sound in mind, so you get that mix in there. And if you have that ability with your audio video equipment, you're going to be able to hear that. And I like the fact that you don't have to set up a perfect 5.1 to hear certain things. It was coming out really, really nice out of the soundbar. When you turn surround off, you start to notice that the sound is more direct. It's coming straight to you. Now, there also are different modes to listen to. So you have a music mode for when you're listening to music. You have a news mode when you're listening to dialogue, and there's also a movie mode. And to be honest with you, movie mode sounds good, coincidentally, when you're watching movies. Who would have thought? But so they did a really good job of that. And that's really just tweaking it with the EQ. Speaking of EQ, if, for example, you're not satisfied, maybe you want a little more high-end, put the treble up or turn it down, or maybe you want to add more bass because you're playing online gaming, you can do that. And with the controller, you can tweak it. So what I did is I just set the bass on as high as I can, and I actually could feel the rumble in the floor. So for anybody that's gaming and you want to really get into the action, this is going to do it. So it was very, very impressive with that low-end bass. So the sound, very good dynamic range, very clear. You know, you can hear dialogue, but then when things get loud, it gets really loud. You almost feel like you're in a theater. So that was definitely a plus of this soundbar combo. Now, as I mentioned, I connected this via Bluetooth audio. One thing to note, and this is important to note, this is using Bluetooth 4.2 and not Bluetooth 5. Now, you might think that's not a big difference, but it can be. And let me explain why. See, when you're using this with, say, like a projector like I am, and you're watching Netflix, there is a little bit of latency. So someone's like voice, if you look at their mouth, there's just that slight delay to that. I don't think a lot of people would notice it, but I was hoping with Bluetooth 5 to see if they could eliminate that latency. And I have yet to review a Bluetooth 5 soundbar, so I don't know. So the latency of this was very similar to the soundbar that I already have, just a slight, delay to that. Only if you're like looking at someone's mouth are you going to kind of notice it. But for most people, I think it's going to be just fine. That's just something you want to know because I'm really interested in Bluetooth 5 because it transmits data 8 times more data at twice the speed. So theoretically, latency should be eliminated, but it uses, like I said, Bluetooth 4.2 and not Bluetooth 5. All in all, I have to say I was really impressed with the Mission soundbar and wireless subwoofer, the MSB21. I've never heard of this brand, so I didn't really have any kind of preconceived notions of what the audio and sound was going to be like, but I found it to be very, very impressive. It almost gives you that theater-like feel inside your home, especially if you have like a projector like I do. The sound is just coming right at you. And like I said, movies are mixed with surround sound. It's so nice to have the right gear to take advantage of that because it really is part of the experience. If there was one con, I would have loved if this was voice enabled, namely having Google Assistant or Alexa built in. But here's the thing, they used to have dongles. They used to have Chromecast audio. Even Amazon had a little dongle that you could put into any speaker to make it smart. But then they got into speaker business and now they don't do that. And unfortunately, that's like the one missing feature because imagine you could just call, with Alexa to know about the time or to play music on this. That would be just so nice. But unfortunately, because they got in the business, they discontinued those dongles. So it's going to be hard to find one. If you do find one, you can hook it up to this and make that work. But all in all, I would have to say, other than that, I was very, very impressed. It was very simple to use, user-friendly. The controller was fabulous. The sound was excellent and clear, and it was very, very loud, especially if you want some low-end bass. Well, I hope you enjoyed this review of Mission's soundbar with wireless subwoofer, the MSB21. If you like this review, please smash that like button. And if you have any questions or comments, leave that below and I will get back to you. And don't forget, subscribe to this channel as well. You can find more information about me at handyandymedia.com or hit me up on the social as well. You can find me there. Well, that's all the time we have. I hope you liked this review. We will see you again next time. Bye for now.